Today, let's preview IMSA's traditional curtain call, and as always, there's plenty of headlines to explore. Hop in, buckle up, and get ready to lay it on the line. This is Not Speeding, Just Qualifying, a podcast that's just as fast as it sounds. What's up, family? I'm David Lawrence. Welcome to the Not Speeding, Just Qualifying podcast. I appreciate you for joining me for today's episode. Before I get started, make sure your qualifying setup is all dialed in and ready to go for pole position. Hit that subscribe button on your YouTube channel or search Not Speeding, Just Qualifying in the podcast section of the YouTube Music app to subscribe to us today. Saturday, Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta, an hour northeast of downtown Atlanta, hosts Motul Petit Le Mans, the finale of the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship, a 10-hour endurance test unlike any other on the calendar. A race where speed, consistency, traffic management, reliability, nighttime driving all must come together. This year, as always, the stakes are high. Across multiple classes, championships are still in play, and choices made in pit lane could swing title chances. With 53 cars across 4 classes, this is shaping up to be another compelling Petit Le Mans. To understand the intensity heading into Road Atlanta, let's review who's in contention, and let's also pick some favorites for this weekend's action. Let's go from bottom to top. We're starting with GTD. If they start the race, it will be very hard for anyone to catch the number 57 Windward Racing Mercedes AMG, Russell Ward and Philip Ellis. Going into the finale, this duo has a substantial 224-point lead over their closest competitor. This team has had a championship season, 3 wins, 4 podiums, and only 1 finish outside the top 10. What makes Windward's season all the more impressive in the biggest class in IMSA is their ability to make the best of their bad days. A great example of this was the last race at Indianapolis. The team was handed a drive-through penalty for pit lane speeding while leading. After serving the penalty and falling out of the top 10, Ellis, through a combination of hard driving and teams needing to pit for gas at the end, saw them recover to a 5th place finish. That is championship mentality. Grit and fight for every point you can find. Windward is the sole reason Mercedes has a significant 114-point cushion in the GTD manufacturer standings. Ferrari does have an outside chance at catching the 3-point star, and with 6 GTD entries, the prancing horse definitely has strength in numbers. But as well as Windward is running right now, even Ferrari's momentum, 2 wins in the last 3 races in the GTD class, may not be enough. Behind Windward, the best of the rest is a highly contested fight. 2nd to 5th in the team's championship is separated by 131 points. The same gap is from 2nd to 6th in the driver's table. The difference? Kenton Cook's disruption. After a mid-season switch when the core-top Mercedes team he was originally drive for shut down, he moved over to Triarci Ferrari, and he has managed to maintain his performance while transforming Triarci's fortunes. While Triarci is not in team's championship battle, Cook could very well take 2nd in the championship at the end of Petit Le Mans come Saturday. But there are plenty of challengers. Casper Stevenson and Heart of Racing currently hold 2nd in both the drivers and teams championships and look to keep them through Saturday. But Turner Motorsport, Faster Sullivan Racing, and Wright Motorsports, along with their driver lineups, all have sight on claiming that runner-up spot in the GTD standings. As far as picking a race winner, any of the 19 cars in class can come out on top. And call it recency bias on my end, but I like the most recent class winners. Inception Racing claimed their first IMSA win at Indianapolis last month, and this was not a fluke performance if you look at their stats. This team has shown in the endurance races this season. Remove their DNF from the Rolex 24 at Daytona in January, and you will find top 4 finish in the other 3 endurance races, including both of the team's podiums, a runner-up at Watkins Glen before their Indy breakthrough. Britt Ali Mulroy and Danish youngster Frederick Schandorf have been perfect complements to American bronze driver Brendan Uribe, and in the Enduros, they just seem to click. So I can definitely see them finishing the season with back-to-back wins to clinch that Endurance Cup in GTD as well. Next up, let's talk about their big brothers in GTD Pro. The manufacturers fight is really all the rage here. 4 manufacturers are bunched within 80 points going into Petit Le Mans. Corvette leads by 46 over Ferrari in the manufacturers' chase, with Ford and BMW in close pursuit. While the Drivers' Championship is a long shot for the Ford drivers, and with the BMW drivers completely out of the picture, both Multimatic Motorsports, who represents Ford, and Paul Miller Racing, BMW's stable team in the class, have plenty to fight for with bragging rights on the line. BMW has extra incentive as Paul Miller Racing stand 1-2 in the GTD Pro Endurance Cup standings and will in all likelihood settle the title amongst themselves. Going back to the Drivers' Championship in GTD Pro, it's a classic story of David versus Goliath. First, let's talk about Little Dragon Speed. Elton Julian's team doesn't have the budget to go out and test, nor do they have the resources at the level of the factory-supported outfits in the class. But with Spaniard Albert Costa, this team has put together a season for the ages. It's all the more astounding when you consider Costa has not had a regular teammate all season. His rotating driver cast includes his co-drivers for this weekend, Italians Giacomo Alto and Davide Rigon, Swede Rasmus Lin, fellow countryman Miguel Molina, and Frenchman Thomas Neubauer. The latter two ran with Costa at Daytona in January. Costa and Dragon Speed come into Petit Le Mans on a streak of 5 straight podium finishes, part of a class-leading 6 podiums over the 9 races so far this season. This team has shown they can hang with the best. And did I mention Costa was a class winner at Petit Le Mans last year in GTD with Conquest Racing and Ferrari? You gotta think Dragon Speed is feeling pretty confident going into this weekend's festivities. Standing in the way of Dragon Speed, however, is the Goliath that is Corvette Racing by Pratt Miller Motorsports. Pratt Miller Motorsports have been the longtime service provider of Corvette Racing before the GTLM era came to a close. A team with a championship pedigree, is not surprised to see them going into the final round looking to seal yet another title. Doing so would be the first for Corvette since GT3 became unilateral in IMSA starting in 2022. Alexander Sims and Antonio Garcia have been fast, consistent, and aggressive all season long. Yes, they only have the 1 win at VIR, but only 1 finish outside the top 5 all season. Compare that to 2 for Dragon Speed, and that's made the difference as we prepare for this petite finale. The margins are slim on both sides. The weekend begins with these two teams separated by only 18 points. To give you an idea of how close that is, the gap from first to second is 30 points. Every position from second to fifth has a gap of 20 points each. Essentially, it will be a good old-fashioned first car to the line wins. Hopefully the mechanical gremlins stay awake so we can see a hard-fought championship title fight on Saturday. It's hard to believe, but I have barely mentioned Porsche to this point. They are usually front and center in the GT ranks with their battle-tested, reliable warhorse, the 911 GT3R. But you can't have your way every season, and 2025 just was not Porsche's year, despite 3 wins between GTD Pro and GTD, all coming from AO Racing. And while they do not have much to gain in terms of championships this season, I will look to Rexy the Dino, the beloved nickname and mascot for AO Racing's GT Challenger, and his trio of pilots, Klaus Backler, Lauren Heinrich, and their third driver for Petit, Michael Christensen, to close the season with a win. Keeping with AL Racing, we transition to LMP2, where their other entrant, affectionately known by its nickname and mascot Spike the Dragon, could find championship glory. The team, already seeing their potential with the European Le Mans Series title in 2024 in LMP2, were anxious to build on that confidence in the second season of their IMSA prototype program. Adding a champion pro goes a long way as well. Enter Dane Cameron, who is out of a ride fresh off his third Premier Class championship in IMSA in 2024. The California native found refuge at AO Racing, teaming up with team co-owner PJ Hyatt. Despite a shaky start, the team finally found their footing midway through the season. A breakthrough win at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park in July was followed up with an encore presentation at Road America, which saw them rise to the championship lead, which they have held since. Now, about the team they took the lead from and who had the lead for most of the season. That would be Dan Goldberg and United Autosports. United Autosports inherited the LMP2 victory at the Rolex 24 after Tower Motorsports, who crossed the line first, failed post-race tech. They got to savor victory by winning at Watkins Glen in June, and after the Canadian round in July, Goldberg had been on 3 podiums in the first 4 races of the LMP2 season, which was key as Canada saw him without his regular partner, Scotland's Paul di Resta, who was on World Endurance Championship duty. A valiant performance from the deputizing Tom Blomqvist that day helped to keep Goldberg in the driver's point lead. But lap 1 at Road America could be where Goldberg looks back at the moment the championship got away. Crashing out of the race right away at turn 1 is the dark spot in an otherwise strong season for Goldberg and his number 22 United Autosports squad. As far as calling a winner, LMP2 can go either way. There are 12 cars, all Orca chassis, and this is the class where driver and team will make the most difference than any other. The championship contenders will be going all out, to say the least. Teams that have yet to find victory lane will be going hard to see if they can grab the final checkered flag. And for the teams that have already won this season, they're looking for one more taste of success to build momentum going into the offseason. For me, my pick will be one of those winless teams that has some extra incentive. Gar Robinson won the last LMP3 championship in 2023 before LMP3 became the headliners of the VP Sports Car Challenge, another IMSA series. Robinson and the Riley Racing team moved to LMP2 and have been strong over the last 2 seasons. 7 podiums, 4 second-place finishes, but they just have not been able to nab that win. Well, this weekend will be, for the foreseeable future, Robinson's last race in IMSA as he's choosing to focus on other priorities for 2026. Wouldn't it be cool to see him and teammates Felipe Fraga and Josh Burton score their long overdue win at Petit Le Mans? And while they have a chance to match their runner-up finish in the points from 2024, you gotta think the win will be all that matters to them. Regardless, for us old school sports car fans, it was cool to see Gar bring back the 74 Ranch Resort colors to IMSA. The colors his father George made famous over 2 decades earlier when he was on top class prototype racing. We hate to see them go, but hopefully they're sent out in victorious fashion, and hopefully we'll see them again. Now, here's the class you've all been waiting for, GTP. 12 cars, 6 manufacturers, and world-class drivers ready to go to war. The headline this weekend has to be Porsche. Porsche Penske Motorsport has had a blistering run to start the season, and going into the final stretch, it has been a teeter-totter between the sister number 6 and number 7 from the factory squad. The number 7 crew, Nick Tandy and Felipe Nasser, were the hot hands, winning the first 3 races, including sweeping the 36 Hours of Florida at Daytona and Sebring. But after their podium at Laguna, things have slipped off. A wreck at Watkins Glen gave momentum to the sister number 6 car, Matt Campbell and Matthew Jaminet. And through a series of events, they now come to Road Atlanta with a 131-point lead over the 7 car. With a slim chance, but gaining momentum, comes Porsche's national rival, BMW. Philip Eng and Dries Vanthoor won at Road America, leading home a BMW 1-2 finish. A solid day at Indianapolis means they're still in play, but a lot needs to happen. If for no other reason, a championship for BMW would be well cheered for multiple reasons, but more notoriously this one. For the last 18 years, Rahal Letterman Lanigan Racing and BMW have formed a formidable partnership that has seen success at every level of top-flight sports car racing, both in GT and prototypes. Petit Le Mans will be the end of an era as RLL makes way for the Belgian WRT squad, who will take over running BMW's IMSA prototype program next season. A championship send-off for this partnership will be a script straight out of Hollywood. Maybe. While they're all but eliminated from the team and drivers' championship, Meyer-Shank Racing can still make noise by helping Acura claim the manufacturer's crown. Acura trails Porsche by all of 7 points going into the Petit finale. Every point will matter, and you don't have to tell Mike Shank's squad of drivers that premise. They already have made it known that manufacturer bragging rights mean just as much, if not more, than the other championships. Cadillac finished 1-2 at Indianapolis with Action Express earning their first win in 2.5 years. Wayne Taylor Racing scored their second runner-up in the season and would love to go one better at Petit Le Mans. Defending Cadillac's Petit Le Mans title would be a great way to cap off what has been, if we're being blunt, a very disappointing season for WTR that could see them go winless for the second time in 3 seasons. Lamborghini is in their last race before hopefully a 1-year sabbatical, as the manufacturer is courting teams to run their program for 2027. Once the team is confirmed, hopefully more details will be revealed to the extent of the program. One thing is for sure, the team will go down fighting strong. In a statement of intent, Lamborghini came to Indianapolis with an upgraded SC63 and was running as high as third at one point in the 6 hour before late race shenanigans dropped them down the order. It will be interesting to see how Romain Grosjean, Eduardo Matara, and Daniel Kvyat fare this weekend. Lastly, the most beautiful sounding car in the field, the V12 Aston Martin Valkyrie. Heart of Racing has put this car through its paces in 2025, and the car just continues to get better and better with each passing race. We knew not to expect much with the Valkyrie in year one. As with all cars, this is a season of learning and R&D to improve the product. But Aston Martin should be proud of their accomplishments, running at the end of every race, with the high point of their season a 6th at Road America. Maybe Road Atlanta could see a top 5, which will be another step forward for this burgeoning program. With all that being said, who wins Petit Le Mans? I'm leaning to the Acura camp. With the manufacturer crown being their chance at championship glory, they will not let this opportunity slip away. Furthermore, Meyer-Shank and Acura just have Enduros and GTP figured out. Runners up at Daytona, third at Sebring and Indy, and of course their win in the Watkins Glen 6 hour. And the last time Meyer-Shank was at Petit Le Mans, they took home the trophy in 2023. I like the 60 trio: Tom Blomqvist, Colin Braun, and Scott Dixon, who himself is going for back-to-back Petit Le Mans wins after winning with Chip Ganassi and Cadillac last year. Now, let's talk about the circuit. Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta. What makes it such a challenge, and what do the teams need to master to find the winning setup? The circuit is 2.54 miles or 4.08 kilometers with 12 turns and, more importantly, significant elevation change. Since its opening in 1970, it's a flowing technical track that rewards momentum and precision. The key areas of this track include the S's: fast, flowing, tricky in traffic, especially at night because the margins for error are so small, especially with traffic coming on you at the blink of an eye. Let's also talk about Turn 1 and Turn 11, the two biggest braking zones on this track. You're slowing from high speeds, multi-class traffic. These are your major hotspots for contact, especially with closing speeds from GTD to GTP, literally a snap of a finger. Qualifying is important, not as much in the sprint events, not for position, but for the points. Remember, this is the final round of the championship, and there's still 35 championship points up for grabs on Friday, which could swing very much how you determine your strategy for Saturday. Speaking of strategy, track position and clean air are critical early on. Tire and fuel strategy will be pivotal. How long can you stretch your stints? When to pit under green versus under caution. Nightfall introduces temperature drop, track grip changes, and increased stress on lighting and driver focus. Multi-class traffic is relentless, particularly here at Road Atlanta. Faster cars encounter GTD traffic nearly every lap, often in the trickier parts of the circuit. Put an emphasis on the S's, which I mentioned earlier. And there you have it. A preview of the 28th running of the Motul Petit Le Mans, the season finale for the 2025 IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship. If you're listening to the podcast the day it drops, the teams and drivers have already had their first practice of the weekend. Qualifying is Friday, with the race taking place Saturday, October 11th, green flag flying shortly after noon. If you're not there in person, you can catch the race on Peacock in its entirety, with the first 3 hours shown live on Big NBC before all that college football action. If you're outside of the United States, you can watch the race on IMSA.tv or the IMSA YouTube channel. If you're not able to watch, listen along with IMSA Radio on www.imsaradio.com. IMSA Radio's broadcast will also be simulcast on SiriusXM satellite radio. Go to SiriusXM.com for channels. And last but not least, I will be there at Petit Le Mans. I'm proud to announce this episode of the Not Speaking Just Qualifying podcast is a collaboration with GT Report, the website that I write for, and I will be collaborating with them over the course of this weekend to bring you coverage. You'll see some of my writing pieces, but I'll also be doing content with the label NSJQ by GT Report collaboration, and we're very excited to be part of this great experiment, and we're hoping to do more events like this in 2026. So if you haven't already, make sure you're tuned in to our social media channels. Stay tuned for more information on those in a second, and we hope you guys will be a part of this grand experience that GT Report, Not Speaking Just Qualifying podcast is going to put on for you. Huge shout out to Miguel, the editor of GT Report, for allowing me to bring this collab together, and we are very, very excited, looking forward to this weekend ahead. But with that being said, family, that is our episode. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Are you listening and have a topic or series you want us to cover on the show? Drop a comment on any of our episodes and let us know. You can also reach out to us by email at dalmotorsports@gmail.com. dalmotorsports@gmail.com. We would love to hear from you. Make sure you connect with us on social media: Blue Sky, X, Instagram, TikTok, all at the handle at NSJQ Podcast. Subscribe to our show so you don't miss whenever we drop new content for the pod. Also, like and share our content. The more you like and share, the more YouTube and these other social media sites will start recommending our episodes to others. Lastly, if you want to follow me on my personal social media handles, links will be in the description box to this episode. I will talk to you all next time for another episode of the Not Speeding, Just Qualifying podcast. Until then, I'm David Lawrence. And remember, you're not living life to the fullest until you're going flat out. Stay tuned for more information for Not Speeding, Just Qualifying on site at Petit Le Mans. Until then, so long, everyone.